Now that we have Mr. Sweat, it gives us the opportunity to have some more questions and provide more facts on the overall situation.
Governor Andrew Cuomo of New York speaking yesterday after the second fugitive, David Sweat, was captured by, I believe it was federal marshals. Let's find out from our correspondent, Bob Constantini. I was about to say federal marshals, but I wasn't sure about that. Was it federal marshals or was it New York State troopers?
Well, no, he was spotted walking along a road on the edge of the woods on a road that leads to Canada by a lone state police trooper, New York Police Sergeant Jay Cook, who's being hailed around that town there, I can tell you, just about a mile and a half from the Canadian border, Larry and Scotty.
Okay, so here's my question for you. Why did he not get through to Canada? Is that show how good our police officers are in northern New York?
And border protection up there.
And border protection?
Well, the border protection, the Border Patrol was doing the hunting, if you will, and were the ones who found and ended up shooting his fellow escapee, Richard Matt. But that was actually south of Malone, so he wasn't. Matt was not anywhere near close to the border. There is no fence up there. I actually rode up along that same road just the day before, just for if you want to say for kicks, just went right to the Canadian border. There's no fence. There is a crossing up there, but there's no fence. It's heavily wooded, and he could have made it into Canada had he stayed perhaps within the woods. But he came out and at least was spotted and then eventually shot as he tried to get back into the woods.
And talk to me, Bob, about the injuries that he sustained. They shot him, my understanding is they shot him in the abdomen or in the torso, as it appeared as though he was going to go back into those woods and they would have lost him. What injuries did he sustain?
Well, from what we understand, he was shot twice, and they keep saying torso, which is, I guess, a better way of saying that he was shot in the back. But the state police were justifying this, saying that had he gotten back into the woods where he started to head, then he would have been perhaps lost once again and made it, if he wanted to, into Canada. Canadian police were ready, I can tell you, over on that side, by the way, but he was shot twice. He is in critical condition as of last night. He's in critical condition in an Albany hospital after being treated at the hospital in Malone, where it was very interesting yesterday when all of the media got there. When we got there, the locals came out to hear what was going on along with the media, and they applauded as the police officers came and went, and they were in sort of a party atmosphere because that small little village had been under siege, is the best way to put it.
So were they applauding the police efforts, or were they applauding the fact that everyone's going to go home now?
Perhaps a little of both. It's a very, very quiet, tiny village, only 2 hotels there, and they were book solid.
I bet.
Okay. So let me ask you this, Bob. Okay, so we got him. The drama's over. We now have, the future Lifetime original movie, which we're debating who's actually going to play the different characters. The question is, what do we learn from this? What do we learn, thankfully we've got one of them alive. What do we learn about this, and how can we use this in the future to prevent future breakouts? I mean, this was the first one in 150 years of this scale. Can we learn anything, and does this speak more about our prison systems today and the weaknesses that we have in people being able to bring in contraband, to sit there and be able to do more luxuries than we would hope our criminals would have these days?
Well, Scotty, that's a good point, and that seemed to be what Governor Cuomo was driving at yesterday at that news conference. I was there also for that, and he said, look, we know that 2 people have been arrested, 2 prison employees have been arrested, and what does it say? I'm not exactly sure, because it was the first time an amazing movie plot type escape. There's no question about it. The first time anybody's escaped from that prison there. I think it goes to the heart of a possible, relationship or cozying up between the prisoners and the people who are supposed to guard for us against them.
But it's nothing new. I mean, I watched Orange is the New Black. Yeah. I mean, if it's happening enough for them to make a Netflix series on it, you know that it's happening quite often within our prison system.
Bob Constantini, what's the mood like amongst law enforcement? Because, listen, I was up in New York about 10 days ago, and the local media in the state of New York, they were hammering the governor and hammering law enforcement for not apprehending these guys yet. A lot of people were saying that they weren't getting the job done. There must be some vindication there.
Well, of course, they're vindicated. Many of them actually even just started to leave last night. A number of them are staying at the hotel where I am, and they're happy to go home. They feel satisfied. But I can tell you one thing: this area is not some kind of easy place to find a fugitive. We're 40 miles northwest of the prison itself is where Sweat was captured yesterday. So I even with 1,000 people, I can see how very, very difficult it would be to find just these two people in the end.
Yeah, I can well imagine. All right, well, listen, Bob, I know you've been following this story quite a bit, so congratulations to you, too, for enduring the two hotels,
I've only been here a few days, actually.
All right. And Richard, by the way, Richard Matt was captured on Friday as well,
Right.
But you said that was Border Patrol, right?
Yeah, he was shot and killed. He apparently did have a weapon nearby, at least. He did not surrender willingly, according to police, and was shot.
Are your police sources, Bob, telling you that they're still kind of surprised that the two of them stuck together? You would think, I mean, the smartest thing to do once you've done this masterful escape is to split up, so it makes it even harder for law enforcement to find you.
They don't know for sure when they might have split up. The interesting thing is they used pepper. You may have heard this. They used pepper, the shakers like at a picnic or whatever.
Yeah, seasoning.
To try to keep the dogs off their scent.
Mm-hmm.
And quite a unique technique. And again, this is a movie just waiting to happen. But when they split up, the police, the superintendent yesterday, I actually asked him this. He couldn't say. He said that at some point for a few days at least they were together. And then whether or not they had split up when Matt was killed Friday, we just don't know whether he was in that area.
All right, Bob Constantini, thanks for joining us from New York State as this very interesting and dramatic story finally comes to an end.